Alright, good afternoon, everybody. I know what you're thinking. Where the devil have I been? Well, look, tell you what, mate. I have still been training, don't get me wrong, albeit maybe not as consistently as when I was unemployed, but I still train nonetheless. What's on the menu today? Well, it's 2 o'clock Friday afternoon. Hopefully the gym's not busy, but even if it is, we're gonna get a crazy back session in. Now, my training, it's sort of changed recently in the sense that I'm still even doing less volume than ever before, but I'm sticking a bit more strictly to the 6 to 10, on occasion up to 12 rep range. Heavier loads, definitely. I'm choosing heavier and heavier weights, but the idea is less fatiguing with less reps per set. Good. And then the other thing is, it's just, I'm still going to train 5-6 times a week, so that hasn't really changed at all, right? The idea is I'll go through a muscle group split, sort of like a bro split, but a bit more like nuanced. I do have like a dedicated chest day, but that's only because my chest is weak as fuck. Small as fuck as well. But I digress. Today, I mean, it's back, but you know what we're starting with. It's gonna be some cable pullovers. 1, 2, unlikely a third. I might do 2 sets just to start, and then I'll move on to something else, like a bit of, heavy rowing. I've noticed that like my mid traps and like my rhomboids, they're not as developed as like sort of the overall, I was gonna say thickness, but that's incorrect. It's like the overall width of my back. I think I sort of got lucky in terms of, I wouldn't say too lucky, but I think genetic wise, I'm a not too bad in terms of the width up top, but when it comes to like the definition, just the pure muscularity, I think it's a little lacking. So a lot of sort of close grip, really trying to almost Kelso shrug like, really hitting those mid, upper, though I'm trying to target the lower traps as well as the rhomboids, just trying to add that thickness right towards the center, right sort of in like between your shoulder blades. When I do like a lat spread, it sort of fans out and it looks quite flat, right? You can see a bit of shape, you can see like the muscle belly, right? But it's not as girthy as I like it. So that's the focus recently in terms of the back changes. I mean, weak lagging parts are still going to be the chest, the legs, more specifically. Like, look, the quads have been coming along. I've still been training them. Hamstrings definitely need some size, and adductor work. Been doing a lot more adductor work, because I mean, I read somewhere that it accounts for around like 30% of your total leg thickness. So if you want them girthy ass legs, and you realize you've been squatting for ages, you've been doing your hamstring curls, seated, lying, RDLs, all that jazz, but you feel like your legs are still a bit small, potentially you might not be hitting your adductors enough. The way I like to remember adduction versus abduction is adduction, because it's a D, it's towards your dick, so towards the center, it's closing your legs. And then abduction, well, that's just going to be the reverse. That's like, opening out. Good for your glutes, your glute med, glute min, etc. I mean, life update as of late. Been busy, been working. I landed a gig as a personal trainer, so I've been helping whip people into shape. It's been fun. I mean, fun, and as also not so fun. In the sense that not everyone's trying to be a bodybuilder. Some people are just trying to lose some weight. Some people are trying to, gain a bit of muscle, lose a bit of fat. It's not as balls to the walls intense as to how I normally like to do my training. But it's a learning experience nonetheless, because, more power to you. If you're taking steps to, make some sort of positive change in terms of your health and your fitness, like your overall well-being, and the gym is going to be sort of your medium, then hats off to you. Well done. You've done the first and potentially hardest step. So irrespective of your goals and how badly you want it. I think even just the attempt should be celebrated. That's my thinking, at least, when it comes to this. Anyway, my stomach sort of hurts, so I'm gonna get in there, sit on the toilet for a bit, and then afterwards get this crazy ass back session. Alright, until then, I'll see you in there. Alright, honestly, it's been a while since I've filmed in the gym, so I won't lie, I've got a bit of nerves going on. But anyway, first set, pullovers. Yeah, that's alright. Not bad. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm still wearing wife beaters. Anyway, I added the straps because my wrists aren't really cooperating with midday, so give it a great factor when doing this movement. One more set. We'll see how we go. Let's move on. Yes, as you can tell from the belly, a bit of weight gain has occurred. Primarily, I hope muscle, but definitely some fat. I'm hovering at around like a 81, 82. Right now, I mean, it's the start of September, so I'm hoping by the end of the year, I'm at a consistent 85 wake up raw weight. And then, build my way up to 90, see how I feel. To be honest, this is the heaviest I've ever been in probably almost lifetime. I'm not liking the look, honestly. Oh, I feel so gross and stuff, but I digress. The training's hectic though. We're gonna go dual arm here, then maybe let's see how we do. Not bad. By all accounts, this is a pretty rushed session. I'm not taking as long as I usually like for breaks, which, I mean, it's not the worst in the world. I need to get have dinner after this, so getting my gym session in when I can. I figure, since I'm at my old stomping grounds, why not shoot a bit of content, eh? Anyway, one more set, and then I'm moving to Kelso shrugs. That's right, new one. Oh. Whew. Let's move on. I'm staying here though. Alright. I'm not gonna lie, it was my first time doing these. I saw it on TikTok, YouTube, social media, whatever. And, look, it makes sense to me. You know, why don't you just get rid of one of like the joint actions of the elbow and focus purely on retracting your shoulder blade? It makes sense that we'll isolate the traps and da-dee. But execution's a bit difficult. We'll see how we go. And I'll be honest, that feels a little fucked. It's just so weird with such a short range of motion, you know. Like your arm's supposed to be straight, and all you're doing is you're bringing your shoulder blades together. You kind of pinch a pencil between your back, but I don't know. It's a bit. How's it going? I don't know. I might try it on the T-bar. We'll see. Alright, moving on. Alright, I tried a feeler set with 2 plates, and it definitely feels better. I'm standing whilst I do it, but I think it's just to do with like the angle of the resistance. It's much easier to shrug. So I'm gonna do 2 sets here. I mean, it's pretty hard to get it within that 6 to 12 rep range, especially when it's my first time, early times doing this exercise. So we'll give it a bit. We'll see. Whoa. Not bad. Not bad. But I don't know. Just struggle to feel it. Like I'm doing the movement right, but or maybe I'm not doing the movement right, but it feels still not what I was expecting it to feel like. We'll try one more. And so this is what I think is to each their own. This I'm experimenting with, so we'll see how we go. Last set. Alright, let's move on. Jesus. Alrighty. My upright row or vertical row of choice today is going to be the lat pull down. Really aiming to try to just drive those elbows down, right? This is pretty heavy, so let's aim for, 6 to 10. Fuck. Not bad. God. Last few was shit there. Try again. Jesus. Alright. We're moving on. Alrighty. 2 sets of this. We'll check the pump. We'll check in for September. And then, that'll be the end of the workout. It'll be pretty fucking hectic. Good. 15. Oh. I mean, what I'm trying to do with this movement is I'm actually trying to keep my shoulders square rather than like pulling this arm back and moving that shoulder back with it. I'm trying to keep the shoulder fixed and just think about driving that elbow down low, close to my hip. And I'm even thinking of like trying to converge it like inside. I feel my lats way more when I do that, as opposed to like pulling, turning, and just pulling as far back as I want. I'm also thinking like try to wrap that elbow around the body even. Pretty good squeeze, not too bad. Let's do one more. Oh yeah, one thing I also forgot to mention when doing this is, yeah, you don't want to be pulling back. Instead, you want to be sort of pulling your elbow downward angle, you know? Because when you think about what the lat does shoulder extension, which is having your arm from up here all the way to down here. So you want to sort of think about what the lat does and then try to mimic it during the exercise. Or, don't, whatever, I don't care. Alright, that's a wrap. Let's see what we're working with. Alright, it's been such a long time since I've done one of these. Jesus, here we go. Bit of natural lighting. I mean, look, lighting isn't ideal, but whatever. Whew. Mantis? And then let's not forget a fan favorite. Alrighty. Overall, still feeling fat, but I mean, chest is coming along very slightly, a bit more mass, a bit more blocky. Otherwise, arms are okay, shoulders are okay. Lats, I need to just work on the symmetry. This side here, doesn't come out as much. My shoulder's a little fucked. Definitely need to work on the erectors, but I mean, work in progress, bit by bit. All right, see you next time. Alrighty, back in the car. Totally forgot how to make these videos. It's been too long, which is crazy because, like, I mean, at the end of the day, they're really just vlogs, and vlogs aren't the hardest to make. So, holy fuck, multitasking, talking whilst driving, difficult. Whoa, Jesus, fucking kid almost opened the door on me, you bastard. Look, workout review. Overall, pretty snazzy. I mean, it's been a hot minute since I was at my home gym. Felt good. One new type of movement that, look, I'm still finding my feet with. You know, Kelso shrugs, they're a thing. You know, I won't write them off just so soon. They're still pretty handy. But really, it's just a matter of execution. You know. Fucking hell. Look, I'm tempted to. Oh, never mind. It's all good. I got myself out of this intersection. Anyway, what was I saying? Kelso shrugs. I think it'll take me a few more sets before I get, like, you know, full mastery of the movement. When I think of mastery of a movement, it really boils down to, like, a few things. One, you know, how hard are you able to contract that muscle? And I know, look, mind-muscle connection isn't really, like, scientifically based. I mean, it sort of is. There's, like, this study that showed that participants that had a bit more intent and were, like, conscious of trying to feel the muscle elicited a bit more gains than those that just did the movement. So there is some, I don't know what, literature that's backing it, mind-muscle connection. But how I like to think about it is this. You know, when I do a movement, there's going to be one particular target muscle. Yeah, there's going to be like secondary muscles, support muscles, stabilizing muscles, yada yada, right? But when I'm doing one particular movement, there should be one muscle that's trying to get all the juice from the exercise. And the speed at which you can get to full contractile force, or the speed at which you can get to peak contraction, whilst eliminating everything else, you know, you're not cheating your form, you're doing a very, very strict curl. But it's not even just doing a strict curl, it's doing it with a lot of force, a lot of velocity, getting to peak contraction ASAP Rocky. Your ability to do that is going to be determined by how comfortable you are with that exercise and how much, well, I'd just say, like, experience you have doing it, right? So, I mean, Kelso shrugs is a good example where I'm not really sure what it feels like to for those muscles that are being targeted, for them to hit their peak contraction. Like, I know it's my upper traps, mid traps, rhomboids, etc. But how to get them fully contracted, bang, at every rep with, like, you know, maximum force, that's a work in progress. Now you compare that to an exercise that I do quite like. Let's say, for example, single arm cable rows, you know, the last exercise I did. I know that there's a certain position where my elbow is low to my hip, where my shoulders are sort of slightly tilted down, not backwards, but down, yeah, where the elbow's really, really close. It's basically touching the side of my belly, and that fucking feels tight, you know. That lat is, that's fully contracted. And so, whenever I do that movement, I know from my start or my setup position, I want to get to that fully contracted position ASAP, whilst obviously moving weight. Now, the more I do that, ideally, the stronger I get at it, and the more weight that I'll need to stay within my rep range. Congratulations, you've just unlocked hypertrophic training. Progressive overload, good form, stimulate the target muscle, you're gonna make gains. Simple as that. It's science, you know. You can't refute it. If you're doing a certain movement and you really don't feel it in the muscle, does that mean you're not making any gains? Oh, look, not always. Yeah. There's other measures to determine whether or not you're progressing. Yeah, simple ones are just going to be, is the muscle bigger? Yeah. Are you moving more weight after, you know, doing that exercise for 2, 3, 4 weeks? Yeah. If you do the same exercise for 4 weeks and you're training to high intensity, close to failure every time, and after a month of doing it, and let's just say maybe 25 sets, which isn't too crazy, yeah? That's just like, what, 6 sets per week on one particular exercise. If after 25 sets, you don't see a single strength or a single weight increase, or you do the same set and you feel tired or even more tired, you're not feeling less tired, then that sort of tells me that you might not be progressing on that movement. You might not be making like, you know, the proper adaptations for hypertrophic gains. Yeah. What do you do in that case? Well, you fucking change it up, of course. Yeah, you do a bit of a review. You ask yourself, what the hell's going on? You know, I don't know. It's like bodybuilding training simple, but the executing of it is pretty hard. And what's even harder is staying disciplined to do it day in, day out, even when you don't really see those gains session on session. Now, obviously, this is more directed towards a bit more of an experienced lifter. If you're just starting out, don't be surprised if for the first damn near year of training, that after, you know, the soreness and everything else, that you're making pretty good progress. Yeah, your lifts, your numbers, they're increasing pretty rapidly. But that's definitely going to be like a fleeting scenario. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to maintain that for the lifetime of your journey in terms of training. But, you know, nonetheless, it's still good to reap those newbie gains. This also generally happens as well if you take like a pretty long break from training. You might come back pretty damn weak, you know, not as strong as you used to be. But after a few sessions, getting back into it, you'll notice that, oh, you know, finding form again. You're getting back to form pretty quick, and then you're going to hit basically where you were before you stopped, and then you're going to be welcome back to the slow gains territory. Which, I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. Anyway, bit of a rant. Good session. We'll see you all next time.